Welcome into OutKick the show. I'm your fearless leader, Clay Travis. I hope all of you are having fantastic, what's today? Thursdays? Fantastic Thursdays, wherever you may be across this country. I'm going to be doing the fade with Kelly Stewart here in a bit. But first we have OutKick the show. And Thursday Night Football going on with the Denver Broncos traveling cross country to New Orleans to take on the Saints, and I've got a PrizePicks special for you. Starts in about 5 hours or so. PrizePicks, best way to win real money this football season. Make your picks in less than a minute. Turn your sports opinions into real money all season long. With PrizePicks, you can win up to 100 times your money with as little as 4 correct picks. Here are my picks for this week. We won last Thursday. We won 3 Thursdays ago. So 2 of the last 3 weeks, we have won a 10-to-1 payout. If we hit on this, we will get another 10-to-1 payout. And we actually start with a free square. You know how in bingo you start off, everybody gets the middle square? PrizePicks is giving us a win with Anthony Edwards more than 1/2 point. NBA season, Anthony Edwards going to score more than a 1/2 point, basically giving you a win to start. Boom, you get the dub there. Now, tonight, Bo Nix, less than 194.5 passing yards. Spencer Rattler, less than 184.5 passing yards. And Alvin Kamara, more than 1/2 rushing and receiving touchdowns. If we're right, those 4 will pay off at 10-to-1. Even if I don't hit, you can get $50 instantly when you play $5 if you sign up with code OutKick. You don't even have to win to get the $50. Guaranteed. Code OutKick. $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks. Run your game. There you go. There's the winner for everybody. Okay, let's talk about the disaster for Kamala Harris last night that was the Bret Baier interview. This is the interview I have been waiting for, where Kamala Harris actually has to answer for the fact that she has taken every position on every issue under the sun. Bret Baier started with the border, held her accountable. You know it went bad for Kamala because off the screen, there were, according to Bret Baier, 4 different Kamala aides demanding that the interview be cut short. And if you disagree with me, if you're out there and you want to say Kamala looked amazing, why doesn't she do more interviews with Fox News? If you really thought that she was dominant and she provided an incredible defense of her positions and her policies, she should sit for more interviews with Fox News. She should come on Clay and Buck. She should do as many different interviews with as wide of a variety of interviewers as possible. You're not going to see that. And I'm going to go into the Bret Baier interview in a moment, but the analogy that I've made that I think is becoming increasingly clear is Kamala, given that we're in football season, is like a running team, somebody who can pound the ball with the run, but if they get down by double digits and it gets late in the game, they have to start throwing, they have to chuck the game plan out the window, and they have to get desperate. And in that situation, what often happens as you panic and you adjust on the fly is you end up losing by more because you're trying to do something that you're not good at. And if you wonder whose polling looks good and whose polling looks bad, Trump is not changing any of his strategy with 19 days to go. As I sat down, he is in New York. He's going to the Al Smith dinner. He walked into the Bronx to a barber shop. He's doing an interview with OutKick's Tyrus that's going to be up tomorrow morning. He's doing Fox and Friends. He's out there doing the audiences that he would ordinarily do. And meantime, Kamala's panicked. She's doing The View. She's doing Colbert. She's doing 60 Minutes. She's doing the Bret Baier show, the Bret Baier interview for the 6 o'clock news on Fox News. She's panicked because she's losing. And I thought Bret Baier was great. He held her feet to the fire, the same way that he did when he interviewed Trump. If you remember, Trump was very angry at Bret Baier after that interview. If you are truly unbiased news, then you should have sometimes, after you do interviews, Donald Trump mad, and you should have Kamala Harris mad. And that's the reality of what happened the last couple of times Bret Baier interviewed both presidential candidates. And right now, I believe what's going on is there is a true panic setting in inside of Kamala Harris's camp. If I were making a prediction today, as we sit here 19 days away, and I'm going to try to go vote today, pause for a moment. Happy 80th birthday to my dad, October 17th. He was born in 1944. First person in his family, generation in his family, to go to college. The best dad imaginable. A much better dad, I think, for me than I have been for my boys, because he was a little bit older, 34, almost 35 when I was born, and he had all the time in the world for me and my sister. And I mean this honestly, as good of a dad as exists anywhere in the country. He recently broke his hip. He listens to my shows every day. And so he probably will hear this. Does not have social media. I don't think he even ever had an email address. Just got a cell phone somewhat recently. But we went to so many awesome sporting events over the years, whether it was University of Tennessee games starting when I was 5 years old, the Braves, the Reds. We traveled around to a lot of different SEC football games over the years. And he's the reason that I would end up writing Dixieland Delight, because he and his friends would try to go to a different road game to watch the University of Tennessee play every year. And in that process, try to go to every SEC football stadium to be able to visit. That's something that I think a lot of dads and moms out there do. In my life, I've now been to, we have 16 teams in the SEC now. I've been to 15 of them to watch a football game. I still need to go to Oklahoma. I haven't ever been there. At some point, I will. But happy birthday, Dad. Best dad imaginable, best dad possible. And we've got dinner tonight. My dad, I've got 3 boys. My sister has twin boys and a daughter. So my dad is going to have all 6 of his grandkids with him for his 80th birthday dinner tonight. So we all love him. We're all proud of him. Happy birthday to my dad, Norm Travis, best dad out there on the planet. Okay. If I had to bet today, looking at the Poly Market ads and analyzing some of the early voting data, I think Trump is going to win Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, North Carolina, Georgia, and Arizona. And I think he has a pretty good chance to win Nevada. Basically, I think Trump is going to be the next president of the United States. And with 19 days to go, Kamala's getting desperate. The clips from the Bret Baier interview are going to continue to circulate. We're headed into the weekend. A lot of people pivot, focus on college football, the NFL, fall break season out there for a lot of people. Halloween's not very far away right now. I think it's going to be very hard for anything to move. October surprises, because we have election season instead of election day now, become more and more difficult because so many of you, including me, are going to get out and vote early. I'm going to try to go vote as soon as I finish these shows today. I got to do this show, then I got to do a Kelly Stewart show, then I got to write my gambling picks up, and then I'm going to try to hop into my car and go vote early before I come back to have the 80th birthday dinner with my dad. I think that many of you have already voted. And the data reflects that Republicans are showing up and voting early in better and higher numbers than Democrats are right now. Lower propensity Republican voters, medium propensity Republican voters are showing up at higher levels. Kamala's got real issues with Black, Hispanic, and Asian men in particular, but also women. I think that Trump is going to win. And I think we may find out on election night. And sneakily, I think Trump is actually making a play for the popular vote. People asked, why did he go to Coachella? Why did he go out to California? Why is he doing a big rally at Madison Square Garden on October 27th? Why is he campaigning in New York right now? I think because he's going to drive down Kamala's margins in both California and New York compared to what Biden got. And if he can do that, and if he can run up numbers in places like Texas and Florida, which I think he can, then Trump has a chance to make the overall popular vote competitive. And if you think I'm crazy on that, the odds in the gambling market have been increasing for Trump to have a chance to make that competitive as well. So, again, just kind of putting it out there on the horizon to think about. Trump would win if the election were today. I think Trump is strengthening as we move closer towards the election, 19 days out. The Kamala interview with Bret Baier didn't go well. The View didn't go well. Colbert didn't go well. Call Her Daddy didn't go well. 60 Minutes didn't go well. Charlemagne the God didn't go well. Every interview that Kamala sits for further reinforces people don't like her. The more they hear from her, the less authentic she becomes. This happened in the Democrat primary. If you saw, New York Post has a story up that they hired a lip reader, and Joe Biden said, she's not performing as well as me. I'm paraphrasing. And Obama agreed with him. There are going to be a lot of books and a lot of articles written as soon as Election Day is over, and they are going to savage the Democrat Party because I think Joe Biden would have done better than Kamala would, because ultimately the people who are making the decision, the undecided voters, a lot of older white high school graduates, Scranton Joe Biden actually worked with some of them. It's not really working for Kamala Harris. And they tried to bring in Tim Walz to be the everyman, the good old guy. Hasn't worked. I think that she is collapsing, and the data every day is getting a little bit worse, and she is in significant peril to not only lose, but I think she's trending towards getting her ass kicked. Now, if you are like me and voting for Donald Trump, we got to sprint through the finish line. We got to get out as many voters as we possibly can. I want as many of you out there voting early as possible. Again, I'm going to try to go vote early today, second day that you can vote early in Tennessee. My wife just went and voted early. Encourage all of you to get your votes in. You don't know what's going to happen on November 5th. You might have a sick kid. You might feel sick. Weather might be an issue. There might be something that comes up at work that doesn't allow you to leave. Get your vote in. Pick one of these days when it's not as crazy on your schedule as it otherwise might be. Take the time to go get your vote in. Good news. Israel has killed the head of Hamas. The guy who organized and planned the deadliest day for Jews since the Holocaust, October 7th, has been eliminated. Hamas now does not have a leader. He was found in Rafah, the part of Gaza that Kamala Harris encouraged Israel not to go into. Surprise, surprise. This is where they were trying to hide the guy. He now has been killed. And as a result, hopefully as many live hostages as there are can be returned. Hezbollah and Hamas have both had their leaders decapitated. Israel is on the side of truth and justice. I have supported their right to defend themselves to the utmost after the attack of October 7th, and they are completely taking out everybody. Good for them. A couple of stories that I said I was going to hit that I did not get to yet. Yesterday's show, Kamala came out and said reparations need to be studied. This is absurd, okay? She previously has endorsed the idea of reparations. This is an idea that needs to be buried once and for all. First of all, it's impossible to implement because most people in America have a wide variety of different ethnicities in their background because of our history. I'll give you an example. I have, in my past, ancestors who fought both for the North and the South. The Travis family is from Kentucky, so Kentucky was a border state. Some of my relatives fought for the South. Some of them fought for the North. So are we going to give me reparations because my great-great-great-great-grandfather was killed while fighting in the Civil War? Sure. I mean, am I entitled to money because he gave up his life as hundreds of thousands of people did to fight in the Civil War? I haven't heard anybody suggest that. Also, Barack Obama, our first black president, actually had ancestors who fought for the Confederacy. So is Barack Obama going to pay reparations to one half of himself from the other half? Kamala Harris wasn't in the United States during the Civil War, but her family owned slaves. So is Kamala Harris paying reparations to Kamala? It's absurd. If you really want to dive into the historical record, the United States wasn't independent from Great Britain until 1783 when we won the Revolutionary War. There were only 80 years of slavery in the United States. Prior to that, from 1619 to 1783, England owned the United States. We were colonies. So the vast majority of slavery reparations should actually be paid by England. Also, African people sold slaves. Is Africa not going to have to pay reparations as well because they were the people who initially enslaved the people who came to America, and they were the initial profiteers off of slavery? All of these details are absurd. It's why somewhere around 80% of Americans think reparations should not exist. That 80% is correct. Kamala just continues to tank. And I can't even name one thing that Kamala Harris supports that I support. And I'm open to the idea that one political party isn't right on everything. In fact, I would actually make them the strongest point. Sorry, I'm just reading a fun email. But that is my take on reparations. Finally, I'm not going to apologize. No one should use a leaf blower in America during the fall. It is fall. Before 9 a.m. anywhere in this country. I don't care if it's Florida or Arizona or Texas and it's hot. Wait like a civilized person, especially on the weekend, until 9 a.m. or later to do your leaf blowing. I tell my kids, we have basketball goals in the backyard, that they cannot play basketball before 9 a.m. and they cannot play basketball after 9 p.m. I don't want the neighbors to hear dribbling, yelling, music, whatever my kids are doing while playing basketball, because I am a civilized human being who cares about my neighbors. Many of you are out there with leaf blowers at 6:30 in the morning on a weekend, at 7:08 a.m. on a weekend. I barely ever get to sleep, and the damn leaf blowers are going. Be a civilized human being. Do not use leaf blowers early in the morning. Also, Elon Musk, can we not get leaf blowers and lawnmowers with electric motors that don't have to make the loudest noises on the planet? Why can't a leaf blower be electric? I don't ever get woken up by the wind. The leaf blower just brings the wind to your hand. That is basically the leaf blower in essence, okay? Why can we not have electric leaf blowers that nobody can hear? I'm sorry for being a genius. I'm sorry for caring about the American public. I'm sorry for trying to make everyone's neighborhood better and more peaceful and more filled with rest and quiet. That is my goal. That is my struggle. I am your retribution if you hate early morning leaf blowing. DBAP, unless you need to SBAP, happy 80th birthday to my dad. One more time, PrizePicks.com, code OutKick. Anthony Edwards over a half point. Bo Nix less than 194.5 passing yards. Spencer Rattler less than 184.5. Alvin Kamara more than 1/2 receiving and rushing touchdown. All of those things here to make the world a better place. I am your salvation, and if necessary, I am your retribution. Stop the leaf-blowing insanity. A little bit later today, we'll have discussion on all the college football and NFL games with Kelly Stewart and me. That is coming your direction. You can enjoy that as well. And I hope all of you have fabulous weekends. In theory, unless something crazy happens tomorrow, I'll be on Martha McCollum, and then I'll be back with you with OutKick the show on Monday. DBAP, unless you need to SBAP. I am Clay Travis, your hero. See you on Monday.